Hello guys, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good evening. So today I'm going to share you what I am doing for living. So basically I am a postdoctoral research fellow at Sunway University. So it's kind of same like research fellow, but for postdoctoral research fellow the contract is based on the grant. However, for the research fellow, the contract based on the university. But the kind of job scope what I am doing is quite the same. So basically in this video, I'm going to tell you what a postdoctoral lifestyle is all about. Okay, so we go to the main objective of this work, what we do as a postdoctoral. I do believe it's always the same, almost the same in other university. In Malaysia, either UPM, UKM or whatever university, for researcher, for postdoctoral researcher, the job scope is almost the same. Okay, the thing first is we are doing experiment. That's why I am at the lab today. So I'm doing experiment. I will show you some overview what I am doing in this lab. Second thing, apart from the experiment, when you already got the results, what you're going to do, you're going to write a paper. So now also I have a laptop with me. I'm writing some paper right now. So a lot of paper is pending. So when talking about paper, is divided by research paper and also review paper. So the job will never ending. There's always a new review to write up. There's always a new collaboration that we need to meet up the KPI. So that's the second thing we need to write up. Okay, basically that's all. But there are some admin stuff that we need to do, like ordering chemical, handling some events, small event or big event like a conference, and also assisting other collaborators that want to join in. Either they send their FYP or either they send their master or PhD student. We need to guide them a part of the MOU or a part of LOI, that's all. Okay, then we can do a joint publication or even we can do a joint research together. Okay, I think basically roughly when people already finish their PhD, talking about postdoctoral, the experience is quite simple. You need to do experiment, you need to write up a research paper or even review paper. But basically, it's a little bit different during the PhD study. During PhD, our topic is limited. For example, during my PhD, I'm studying about dye-sensitized solar cell. So, I'm focusing on the photoanode, about the recombination effect, light scattering effect. So my research is not too broadened. Okay, I have my material during PhD is polyvinyl alcohol with titanium dioxide and also a little bit of graphene quantum dot. So based on this material, we try to correlate the theoretical, we try to correlate the experimental data to support our main objective. So the field is quite limited, the scope is limited when you are doing PhD, because a PhD is just one step into the research. So you need to very focus on your things instead of you study a little bit this and everything get haywire. So you cannot finish in 3 years if you study a lot of things in your PhD. That's why for PhD is very concentrated, very focused on that research part. But in postdoctoral, what we practice in this university, which is Sunway, and I do believe with other research university, you as a postdoctoral, you must meet the requirement of the grant that pay you. For example, the grant said you need to do a project about solar cell. So it's broadened solar cell. So for example, they want to have a new material. For example, it's upcycling carbon from a plastic waste. So you should focus on that, but it's not limited to that. You can broaden your scope of material, scope of topic, what the problem you want to solve, you can do that. However, for the duration, normally is 1 year. That's a little bit ashamed about that. They give only 1 year to complete a big project for a certain university. it might not have any extra funding to fund you more than 1 year. But depends on the university and depends on your achievement, they might further your contract. Okay, that's a little bit insight about it. Okay, and at 1 year, you can also go specific into what the project from the grant, or even if you are a challenger, you might take some project. Okay, let me tell you what we are doing here. Here, the main project is about the energy storage. As far as I'm concerned, as far as I want you to let you know, for energy storage is a lot of things inside that, or it can be divided into battery. You can study battery, you can study supercapacitor, you can study supercap battery, you can study hydrogen energy, a lot of things. But normally people cannot study everything in 1 year. Normally they are focusing, for example battery, they focus on the battery, either for lithium ion battery or sodium ion battery, because that application also is a little bit complicated. In my case, my project is about electrochromic supercapacitor, a smart supercapacitor that have the ability to change color upon a small potential applied. So what I need to do is I need to have a new material that capable to change color when I apply the potential. In the meantime, I have a joint project that should store the energy by using electrochromic capacitor. However, it should harvest the energy using thermoelectric device. Meanwhile, at the same time, I need to produce a material that have the dual properties, the capability to store and the capability to harvest. It might look complicated at the beginning, but as a postdoctoral or as a researcher, you need to tackle the problem one by one. So you need to tackle the problem about energy storage and also about the thermal storage, how you want to harvest it. Okay, and for sure, if you are new in the research field, if you are new to some terms or some field, it's quite difficult for you. You need to read more about the review paper and about the theoretical what happened. So basically, it depends on your luck. Sometimes the opportunity come with your field. For example, if your field in PhD is in the field of solar cell, if you get the solar cell, it's quite good for you. Sometimes it's deviate some, like you go from energy harvesting to energy storing. But as a researcher, you should take that challenge, because a lot of things we need to learn and a lot of things we need to harvest and absorb, because 5 years after PhD is the duration you need to build up your knowledge. Because I go to one interview, they said what? You have your knowledge, it's like tools, you have your own tools. You got your PhD in 3 years or 4 years or even 5 years. That tools, they want to test you whether you can use that knowledge, that tools into other application. It might not easy, but you need to implement that knowledge and that technique. That's why either you are going into whatever direction, whatever field, you can apply the techniques, but make sure the field belongs to the energy storage. If your field belongs to something like oil, something like whatever, something very different, it's quite difficult. You need to have one big cluster, and a small cluster is easy to tackle. For example, solar cell can jump into battery, supercap, even can jump into electrochromic. So lately, I'm new into the battery application, so I'm trying to learn from the expert to do the battery application. So far, I learned about the supercapacitor, supercap battery, and even solar cell. So I need to improvise to added value, to add some value into my resume. So my advice to all of you at the end of the interview, if you wish to become a postdoctoral research fellow, you need to be able to implement your knowledge into other fields also. It's not limited to your specific field, during PhD, because life is unpredictable. We didn't know at one point we work or we research on other things, at one point in other things. So be prepared and be resourceful. Always add new knowledge into you. So if you are dealing or you are working with other people with other application, make sure to learn their application. Don't just focus on your application, because who might know in the future you might do what they do during your PhD. So I think that's all a little bit insight about the what we call that postdoctoral research fellow life. So the main thing what you need to do experiment and write out. That's all. Quite easy in the surface, but very deep meaning if you learn into detail. I think that's all from me about the sharing session. Okay, that's all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and peace be upon you. Bye.